finally accept his donation of sculpture. So his intention, and I think because he grew up in and around McBride Park and King Park and MacArthur Park, is to really see a lot of his sculptures end up in those neighborhood and community parks. So we'll work with him. When I was in Grand Rapids, Michigan, another really, I'd say invaluable leadership opportunity I had was for the Meyer Gardens and Sculpture Park. It was really a reflection of Frederick Meyer, who started Meyer department stores in Michigan, and now I think they're in 6 or 7 Midwestern states. In fact, I learned through Fred that Sam Walton actually kind of stole the concept from Meyer stores, and that's what Walmarts are nowadays. So it's kind of interesting lineage in that regard. But Fred really loved three-dimensional art and sculpture. He and his family grew up during the tougher years of the Depression, and as a very good-willed and kind family, they quite often gave a lot of the working families lines of credit at their grocery store just so their families could survive, and quite often they just erased the debt. But they were very successful. It's still a family-owned business, but because of Fred's passion for art and his successfulness as a businessman, he's what I call a quiet billionaire. The first time I went into a Meyer store when I relocated to Grand Rapids, I noticed that there were people in front of me, buying milk, eggs, and a lawnmower, and clothes for the kids. So it was really, that multi-department type store. But his wife, Lena, was really in love with gardening. So that was kind of the genesis or the beginning of what became really a Midwestern destination, and that's the Frederick Meyer Gardens and Sculpture Park. So their marriage was really ideally symbolized in the mission and the purpose of that. But I was able to meet a lot of world-renowned sculptors. We had sculpture galleries where we would feature a temporary exhibition of their work, but then Mr. Meyer would actually buy or acquire one of the significant works and then situate it out in the 25-acre sculpture garden. So that experience has lived with me, and that's why I really committed and celebrate partnerships with all the arts organizations to see what we can do as a community to continue introducing beauty and art and culture out into the public realm. The one thing, and again, and I'll finish talking about Mr. Meyer, but he was really influential in my life. But he made a comment to me once, and it really stemmed from the fact that his business and his success was all about having a grocery store and making sure food was available so families could be fed. But he said, something, Brent, the eye needs something too. Besides just satisfying the human need for food and nourishment, our eyes relish and need things of beauty. And for me, that just spoke volumes about why he invested and created this really wonderful treasure in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So when I was in Tucson, we had a very active and proactive arts organization called Sculpture Tucson. And of course, it didn't take me long to befriend them. And I think in the several years I was in Tucson, we were able to successfully incorporate a half a dozen really amazing works of art and sculpture out into all corners of our park system. So hopefully, with developing similar partnerships here in Long Beach, that we'll be able to continue to do wonderful things like that. I know each of our city council leaders have different levels of interest in the arts, but I know Councilman Roberto Uranga, they have a 7 and 7, so we're actually working closely with the Arts Council to try to identify 7 very visible and important public spaces to incorporate mural art from local artists. So I'm really excited about seeing that advance. I know I have an hour. You give me a topic and I can talk for an hour, but that's kind of a high-level view of kind of where I came from, thanks to Griselda's somewhat short overview. But I do really love everything that our parks have been doing. I think it's been really noticeable how essential our parks have been during COVID, where so many things have limited our abilities to gather inside in particular, but even just getting out to see our neighbors, being very conscientious about our safety and health as well as people around us. So as we've kind of eased out, or I say eased into what I call the new normal, I'm just very, very excited to meet more of our community leaders in the arts community and, attend events such as this. So you can count on me to always be a supporter. As Griselda mentioned, I am an artist, and being a landscape architect, landscapes and seascapes and those type of things come pretty naturally to me. But I've always donated my art. A lot of my friends say, you should have a gallery, you should be that. And I said, well, you know what? It's more rewarding for me. My business life is so stressful that I keep my life in balance, both through my art and also gardening. So I love my garden is another way that I express, my appreciation for beauty. So with that being said, I really am proud to be part of a great team that oversees 167 of your parks, this one included, as well as 8 miles of beautiful beaches, which gives Long Beach its name. We have one of the longest beaches. Also, our marina, we have the nation's largest municipal marina, and also animal care services. So sometimes I refer to our department, which is officially Parks, Recreation, and Marine. We always, for some reason, leave off animal care services. So I also say we're also known as a department of fun and furry friends. So with that, that'll be kind of who I am.
Good.
So
Yeah,
thank
yeah,
you.
yeah.
That is so
That's
great.
good.
And I know when I go visit the dog pound or area at Eldorado Park, I always want to leave home with one of those dogs or cats. Okay, a dozen of them. Who's like, I want to take you home. Yeah. So speaking of park, can you give us some updates around Drake Park and MacArthur Park and what's happening with that? Because there is a lot of city development going on, but particularly in those areas, they're at an early stage, I believe, of development.
Right, yeah, that's a good question, Sam. So I'll start with MacArthur Park. So over again in Council District 6, off of Anaheim, there used to be a library. Actually, it's just moved across the street. The Mark Twain Library is there. But we have a community center and then a very beloved neighborhood park that just needs a lot of TLC. So fortunately, Senator Lena Gonzalez in the state of California budgeting process, she was able to secure what they call earmarks. She was able to designate a significant amount of money to help complete the vision that the neighborhood helped us create. Is what do they want MacArthur Park to become in the future? So $8.5 million, a tremendous amount of money. So we're going to see, and again, it's a reflection of what the community wanted. But a lot of the young families really wanted to see significant upgrades and improvements and enhancements of the playground area. So that will be really obvious because it's right along Anaheim on the corner. So that one, and then also I think reflecting the community's belief in how important health and fitness is, we'll be introducing some outdoor fitness stations. They were really interested in developing this kind of a circuitous walking trail that you can go out and actually know if I walk or run or push my stroller for 3 laps, it equals a mile, something like that. So, and again, we have a lot of great partners, but this past year, the Conservation Corps helped us plant 28 new trees out in MacArthur Park. So that's part of our reforestation effort, but that, enhancing the landscape is also an important part. Upgrading the restrooms is another element. And then everything that we do nowadays, it's all about our green initiatives and sustainability. So they'll be developing along the edge of the parking lot some EV stations, the electrical vehicle charging outlets, and just an array of other things. But in essence, it seems like $8.5 million is a lot. But nowadays, with a lot of labor shortages and amazing increases in construction materials, we had to kind of really be smart and strategic about the type of improvements. But it is, for all the best reasons, a reflection of what the community envisioned for a new and improved MacArthur Park. Now over at Drake Park, and I actually always call it Drake Chavez because we have a master plan that actually unifies Drake Park with Cesar Chavez Park and also the Jenny Rapeza Center. I'm really honored, besides being your parks director, I've been asked by Mayor Garcia to also step forward and serve on a lot of other special projects. So I've been on the Latino Cultural Center steering committee, and we've really been advancing that in partnership with Central Cha. We now have an in the park office for Central Cha, and now they're looking at developing a Latino Cultural Center in Mercado in the footprint of Drake Chavez Park. But the city of Long Beach has an even greater vision for that greenway all the way down to Shoreline with further development of parks, open space, as well as some residential. I think they've learned that that one corner of the downtown area could really thrive and be, I guess, a healthier part of downtown if they could introduce housing. So those would be some things that I know. And then the Shoemaker Bridge realignment, there's just a lot of moving parts, but I think it reflects the vision that Long Beach wants to have to really be a truly world-class city with all the amenities and all the qualities that people want to live, learn, and thrive in Long Beach. But we also have $8.5 million grant with the state of California to invest in Drake Park also. But we have Adventures to Dreams is a really cool kind of garden-based educational partnership there in Drake Park. Miss Sheila does a great job there. She's, I think, started out with maybe 3 or 4 kids in a young family, and now I think she has a dozen or so local families with lots of kids. So every time I go there, it brings a tear to my eye seeing how engaged kids can be to learn about, wow, I plant this seed, and 8 or 9 weeks later, there's a cucumber that I thought were just at the grocery store. So there's a lot of really invaluable learning opportunities. And that's something we're always searching for too, that we're not just a park, but we have opportunities. And again, maybe reflecting of my years as being a botanical garden or an arboretum or a conservatory executive director, I have no problem putting the botanical and common name label on a tree. So when the kids are out there enjoying its shade, they'll realize, oh, that's oak tree or a maple tree or things like that. We just have lots of opportunities. And the same thing with art. I know we're working with Arts Council of Long Beach on some really imaginative and educational aspects to our new flagship park, which will be Lincoln Park, downtown in the Civic Complex. A lot of really unique and kind of one-of-a-kind attributes and design elements in that park. So I know I strayed away from Drake and MacArthur, but we have a lot of really cool things going on out in all of your parks.
So I know that there's more to the parks than Parks, Rec, and Marine. You know, we think we go to parks to recreate, and you have our marine areas where we also go have fun. But the Parks Department is also has a large staff that work at different centers. You're part of after-school programming. You're part of summer programming. Can you talk about that section of parks a little bit?
Absolutely. Thank you, Griselda. So we have, as she mentioned, after-school programs that we're partnering with Long Beach Unified School District. Because a lot of families, probably no surprise, both the parents or the parents are working maybe 1 or 2 jobs. After-school activities and extended, whether it be tutoring or just things to have fun and learn and experience other things, after school has really been essential. So I think we have 28, I probably missed the number. We have over 24 after-school sites that allow hundreds and hundreds of kids to do something very positive after school. We also have a Be Safe program that operates at 11 of our community centers. And again, that's another really important opportunity to keep kids busy and engaged and healthy and learning and socializing. And we found that really to be very, very welcome by a lot of the families that now that kids are going back into the classroom, that continuum has been really, really essential. Our camp program, I know we just said goodbye to summer, but we were able to safely reintroduce or reimagine, that's our term, we reimagined our camp program, you know, recognizing all of the health protocols with physical distancing and wearing masks. But I think, you know, whether you have an opinion about vaccinations or not, with a lot of our young kids ages 5 to 11 now being able to get vaccinated, that really makes a lot of our programming outwardly safer and I think more fun when you're not so worrisome about keeping your distance and having to have your mask on all the time. So the benefit of our parks is that we are out in the open air. The transmission is minimal, but again, it really proved to me how important parks are to building community and building a resilient community. When you can get out in your parks and you finally meet your neighbors, that because you've all been staying at home for quite a while, that's really important in terms of resiliency and just responding to things that may be challenging for a neighborhood or for a community. So yeah, our programming is not just limited to the youth, but we also have a very, very important senior program. We have the 4th Street Senior Center is probably our biggest nucleus of programming. And again, as Long Beach was successful having, I think, the nation's highest percentage of vaccinated seniors, they were able to more safely start to re-engage. But we did make it very intentional to provide healthy meals to our seniors. We could either make them available for them to drive by different locations and pick up a week's worth of meals, or we also actually delivered it to a lot of them that were housebound. So we try to reach the whole gamut of the community, and for me, that's a very rewarding part of what we do.
Yes, thank you for all that happened during the pandemic. I think some folks may not know and understand how connected the parks was to that kind of work. I know we know that about the health department, but the senior centers were definitely a part of it. And as an arts council, we were very happy to help. We gave out art kits in several locations. We provided artists to give workshops with the art kits. And I think the COVID pandemic helped us reimagine. I love that word too. And we look forward to seeing how we can restore those arts and creativity pathways in the centers. We would love to work with the Parks Department, and we have over 1,000 artists in our artist registry that could teach, possibly, right? We can look into those and seeing how even our artists and performers could begin teaching again in your centers and recover from the pandemic.
Yeah, don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm interrupting you. So
absolutely,
huge opportunity. I'm very excited that as we get through autumn and winter, we're going to be reintroducing our recreation offerings, our activity guides that list all of the different classes and programs that will be made available. So I love the fact that you have already over 1,000 artists, and we would welcome a lot of them to step forward and propose different types of classes or program series that we could build into that program guide and really get more and more opportunities for the community to develop a love for art. So that would be great.
So I think that's great to open up that opportunity and propose it to artists. So how would artists do that to reach out? Is it through the Arts Council? And then the Arts Council can work with the parks, or do you have something set up in your office?
Yeah, so I always hand out business cards. In fact, I probably have given away most of them today as I've met a lot of artists. But our Community Recreation Services Bureau, led by Gladys Kaiser, that's the most direct way to make a proposal for a class. During COVID, most of the instructors that came forward, that no surprise, were more about health and fitness. So we had lots of yoga classes, lots of aerobics, stretching, things like that. But I would welcome and encourage any artists that have a propensity to teaching, and it does take an element of patience. I enjoy teaching myself, but I know one of the commandments I give when I start a new class is, "Thou shalt never say I can't do that," because I think building that confidence and the ability to express yourself regardless of what the world thinks. That's the beauty of art, is to engage in conversation and interaction. Yes. What I love, what inspires me about it, what reminds me of something, what makes my life complete and beautiful because of your art.
Brent, I want to ask a fun question because we've been talking a lot about arts and the parks and creativity. Okay, do you go to happy hours? Because there's so many food diversity of food in Long Beach, because that's what makes our city exciting. Where do you go for your favorite food or happy hour? or drinks?
No, that's a good question. So, everything happens for a reason. So we have a not-for-profit. It's kind of what you would call a Parks Foundation. They're called Partners of Parks. And I'm not on their board, but being the director, I've been really encouraging them to think about how can they kind of become more robust and to do a little more and to engage, more broadly and to raise more funds, to fund more scholarships, to, help, more capital improvements. So they had at the El Dorado Nature Center the return of their annual fundraiser called Sowing Seeds of Change. And again, being an artist, and I said I always donate my art, I did a painting of the lighthouse down at, on the marina front. And I think prior to that, when I was in Anaheim, I donated a hillside of California poppies to the Library Foundation. And not that I compete against myself, but the silent auction raised $600 for that painting. And the lady that has it, she's a realtor friend of mine. She has it in her office. And I get lots of calls from people that, hey, I saw your painting. Would you? I said, well, actually, I don't sell my art. I just donated. So the lighthouse painting at the Sowing Seeds of Change fundraiser, there were two ladies that were, going back and forth. They had bid sheet allies that were watching it so they could go socialize, get a glass of wine, and then know that, hey, you got outbid. So they were going back and forth, 400, 500, hit 600. I got excited. Oh, this is great. Then I said it was 700, then it was 800, and then they announced 5 minutes left in the silent auction, and that was like a magnet that brought them up close to the bid sheet. So I went over there, and I knew Trina was going to bid $900, and then I knew Trinka, almost sounds like, was going to just bid her up again. So I said, okay, ladies, come here. I'll agree if you both donate $1,000, I'll do another lighthouse painting. So they decided to do that. So I set a new personal fundraising record, not just $1,000 for a painting, but $2,000 to help Partners of Parks. The reason, it's a long way to get to my point. The other thing I donated was what I called a paint and sip event, so that somebody could bring 10 friends. And actually, this all got contrived with Councilwoman Mary Zendejas over at Portuguese Bend. When you mentioned happy hour, I do go there probably too often. But I know all the staff. But I said, hey, if you'd allow us to use your tent out here for like 10 or 12 artists, I would love to start, what's your slowest day of the week? Wednesday. Every Wednesday evening, we would make available for area arts-oriented, not-for-profits, a fundraising event. I'll donate my time and all the materials, and they will have to, and then donate a fair amount of money to do that. So that's another way that I'm giving back, and that wasn't a blatant plug for Portuguese Men, but I do like that. Yeah, we love them. Okay, so if any of you lead a not-for-profit that's arts-oriented or even youth/arts-oriented, I'll give you my business card and we'll try to get one of those scheduled. But it's really kind of a fun way for adults, not that you need an adult beverage to be more creative, but I attest that I'm usually more fluid with my paint strokes, and it does make art more fun. So that's a great question.
That's wonderful, Brent. And I think Sam and I will sign up for Arts Council and Living Arts and Dream Creator. We can all be part of that. I think we can all figure out how to be part of that. Yes, that's wonderful. It's such a great way for you to share your gifts. We wanted to just give a few minutes to anyone in the community, any of the artists or vendors or folks to have questions, to ask questions of Brent Dennis.
Yes, the lady in the I was going to try to come up with the chartreuse. Okay, yeah, the green.
Hi, I'm Anissa.
Hi, Anissa.
My question for you is, do you feel in this position like you are the Leslie Knope or Ron Swanson of Long Beach?
Do I feel in my position that I'm the Leslie Knope or Ron Swanson of Parks and Recreation? I would say I can honestly state publicly that we could script better episodes than we have an adage around our office that is sometimes uttered multiple times a day that you can't make this up. We have some of the most extraordinarily bizarre, like one-off instances of activities, uses, and abuses of our park facilities that you could ever imagine. But yeah, so that's actually very fun. I think I've watched all those episodes several times and can relate to almost all of them. But that's a great question. In case there are no other questions, whenever I'm in community meetings, they call them town halls or our monthlies or whatever, it never fails that the one question comes up is, what are you doing about the unhoused? What can you do out in our parks so that we don't have people camping and locking themselves in our restrooms and just all blah blah blah, you know what it is. So there's no secret, there's no magic wand, there's no, this is how you deal with it 101 book on the shelf. But in my years in, trying to address this, I do have an empathy for almost all of those homeless individuals because a lot of their situations really are so complicated and not really on their ownness. But I also know there's a segment of the unhoused that's the lifestyle they've chosen. They've lived like that for decades. They don't like rules. They don't like to have to mind after themselves. And unfortunately, some of them, have substance abuse, and some of them have some mental health needs. So I'm very aware of that. But if I had to say the one thing that's transformative is that when we can introduce positive activation and events out in our parks, then that somewhat negative activity tends to go elsewhere.
Yes.
Right now, my biggest challenge is right in the downtown area, and that's the beautiful Harvey Milk Park. We have lots of important opportunities to celebrate, our LGBTQ plus community. There's a transgender awareness event that's going to be happening next Saturday, and yet every day when I drive by that park, there's kind of the usual inhabitants that just really unfortunately abuse that park. And during the daytime, everyone has the ability to be and enjoy our parks. We have an ordinance citywide that after 10:30 our parks close and everyone should be outside of our parks. Well, unfortunately, the enforcement capabilities, and we do have a very good working relationship with the Long Beach Police Department. I have a great collegial relationship with Chief Luna. Unfortunately, he's retiring, so hopefully the new leader will embrace some of the things that we're hoping to accomplish. But right now, we're working with the city attorney's office to put an ordinance in place that would basically make our playgrounds and our areas that are designed and intended for kids safe zones or kid zones, and actually has some teeth so that if somebody is in a playground area and they aren't responsible for overseeing or supervising a child, then they have no business being there. That's what we're trying to do to eliminate the encampment activity, the chop shop of bikes. You've probably seen a lot of the negative activities and the abuse of our parks, unfortunately, in our playgrounds. So that's one small tool we hope to put in our toolbox to help address that. But again, in sympathy to what is expected of our police department, it's just really, in terms of call for service, never quite the priority that some of their other calls of service have. But we're really trying, now that we're getting out of COVID, is to engage more with the neighborhood associations and residents that live around the parks and love their parks to get out for like Saturday morning cleanups or other types of camps or activities or programs. And again, positively activating our parks seems to be, a huge step in transforming them. So I guess I asked and answered my question.
I just love that one question. You gave all this response to it. So
Did I? I talk forever.
I love that.
I do have to watch my parking meter though. So.
Oh, is there another question?
Yes, you and the lovely green. It's like a presidential press conference. You have a follow-up.
What is your sign?
What's my what?
What is your sign?
Astrological sign.
Yes.
Gemini.
Oh!
And then I'm Irish on this arm. So. I'm half Murphy. Yes, because Murphy's Law is alive in my life.
Gemini. Okay. Yeah. So, is there a last burning question somebody wants to ask?
Oh, we have more time.
Okay.
Front row guy.
Hey Brent, I'm Michael.
Hi, Michael.
I'm an urban planner, and
That's
and I
fun.
really like connecting things. Like this is a great example of something that's a space, but also a pathway.
Absolutely. Michael's an urban planner for everybody back there.
And one of my favorite parks, like in the world that I've been to, is the Seattle Olympic Sculpture Park.
Oh, I've been there, love it.
Because it bridges over freight rail and a roadway.
Right.
So I'm just curious, any parks here in Long Beach or beyond that you feel like do a great job of being a pathway into place?
Yeah, absolutely. So I start with Cesar Chavez Park and the Greenway connection to Drake Chavez Park. I forgot to tell you, besides being on the Latino Cultural Center Steering Committee, now I've been asked to lead, working with Sam, on the Cambodian American Cultural Center, so I'm excited about that. Not knowing where that might land further north, I would love to see the Latino Cultural Center and Drake Chavez footprint, and wherever the Cambodian American Cultural Center is further north, to link that with this parkway green space corridor that could serve as like a world-class botanical garden and arboreta and sculpture garden, and just encourage, thousands of people to traverse that and enjoy the beauty of nature, enjoy that LA River corridor, enjoy recreational opportunities, but maybe more importantly, art and sculpture experiences. So, yeah, hopefully I'm bringing that perspective and looking for opportunities such as that, in Long Beach while I'm here. And I'm going to be here at least through 2028. Everybody always says, you worked for 40 years. So I have really fun roommates, and they like Ariana Grande music, and they like 34, 35, you add them together, 69. So they thought that a fun birthday theme for me would be the 21 times 3 theme. So they had, 7 rings, desserts, and all that fun stuff. So yeah, I'm 63 years old, if you can believe that. I'm going to work until the LA Olympics are completed here, which is in 2028. So my executive assistant and my park maintenance manager, there's a group of us that on New Year's Eve of 2028, and you're all invited, of course. We're going to have a really big retirement party. And then, of course, I'll be volunteering. Maybe I'll be a board member on the Arts Council. I'll certainly be donating art to the not-for-profit fundraisers, and still enjoying my love for teaching kids how to confidently enjoy sketching and painting and sculpting, etc., etc., etc. So,
awesome. I think Laura has a question.
Laura.
I'm the magic wand type. You've got so much vast experience in different areas in different states. Is there one favorite pet project that you would like to see adopted by the city of Long Beach?
Oh, that's a great question. I felt stumped. One pet project. Well, I'm very proud of what Lincoln Park is going to become. And, the project's going to be completed next month. And, the mayor's excited to cut the ribbon on it. We have some warranty things. This is getting technical now, but all of our landscape material has to be established for a period of time before the contractors get out of their maintenance and replacement agreement. So I thought, well, wait, this is called Lincoln Park. We're going to be resituating the Abraham Lincoln statue in the park. They're putting this supersized penny, Lincoln Head penny, over on Ocean Boulevard. Is an iconic, I'm sure it'll be a selfie moment for everybody. I said, well, Saturday, February 12th is Abraham Lincoln's birthday. Why wouldn't everybody likes that idea now? So we're going to dedicate and bring the Muni Band, and we're going to make a really fun community celebration of welcoming Lincoln Park. So that didn't answer your question, but it gives all of you a sneak peek of what's happening in February. It'll be right before Valentine's Day. So you'll not only fall in love with the park, but then 2 days later you'll celebrate Valentine's Day. So my dream project probably is the one I described. If we could create something of the quality, if you've ever been to Rancho Los Alamitos, it's like a botanical. When I walked in there for my tour, I only had 1 hour, so I've already politely invited myself back for a 3-hour tour. I know that sounds like Gilligan's Island, but I really want to go back and like see what's inside, and it's just so beautiful. But I think, you know, because we invest in the benefit of quality of life for our residents, but also it's no secret that Long Beach is like a huge visitor and convention destination, that having a world quality botanical garden or arboreta or even a conservatory, something of that kind of cultural and horticultural importance would really be something that's kind of under the umbrella of Parks and Recreation and Marine and Furry Friends. So that might be something fun to do, I think. She loves that idea. All right, so.
Well, thank you, Brent,
Yeah,
so
this
much.
has been great.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
thank
much.
you.
The art walk today and open conversations we're having for this fall, and the Downtown Long Beach Alliance has also helped out with the art walk, the East Village Association, and I also have to thank and let you know that Councilwoman Cindy Allen helped us with our street closures and to invite all these vendors to come for free. We do not charge our vendors to sell their wares and their arts and their crafts. So we're so happy that she was able to do that, and thank you for coming to represent Parks, Rec, and Marine. And animal control. And I love your tagline, fun and furry friends. Fun and furry friends. That's awesome. Sam, any closing words?
You know, besides being out here in the hot sun, it was it was really nice to hear about you and the vision you have for Long Beach, Brent. And I can't wait to discuss with you again about different cultural centers that is coming up. And I'm sure we'll be talking some more.
Thanks, everyone. We're now going to give it back to Dream Creator Studios, who put all of this together for us. Thank you so much. You are great partners here at the Art Walk. And at 3 o'clock, we'll be speaking with VIP Records for Parks and Records today at the Arts Park.
We'll be back. No, you're good. Yes.
Great. Thanks, Ben.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
I love your intro there.
Oh, yes. Hey, you know, I'd love to talk to you. I've been here in